Tonight, the province is cutting back on the use of the AIMS scheduling program. More reaction to the firing of RPS Chief Farouk Sheikh. And a businessman looks to build a food and entertainment center in the Real District.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. The provincial government will stop using the new AIMS computer program for healthcare employee scheduling. It comes after healthcare workers complained about scheduling and payroll errors. As Wayne Mantica tells us, the government will return to using scheduling systems that were previously in place.
The health minister announced on social media that the government had lost confidence in a new computer program for healthcare employee scheduling and verification.
We have now determined that the AIMS team and the technology vendor will not be able to resolve the technical issues as quickly or effectively as needed. As a result, our government has directed the Saskatchewan Health Authority and 3S Health to go back to the scheduling systems that were in use prior to AIMS.
The Administrative Information Management System, or AIMS, manages the healthcare supply chain along with scheduling and payroll for 50,000 employees. Workers had complained of missing pay and welcomed the return to the legacy system.
Come on, man. You go to work, you get paid. Why can't people get paid when they go to work? Because of your failed system? This is unfortunate.
It's estimated that the government spent $250 million on the computer program, nearly 3 times the initial estimate.
$250 million later with nothing to show for it. This government is not delivering on its promises around healthcare, and that system is not delivering on its promises either.
The government says most of the computer system is functioning properly.
That is not a cancellation of the entire AIMS project. The AIMS project seeks to replace 80 legacy systems. 74 of those systems have already been replaced, Mr. Speaker, but we have not been happy with the results of the time validation and scheduling piece of that system. Heard directly from healthcare workers.
The government says it will talk to the lead contractor about the money it invested in the portion of the AIMS program that does not function properly. Later, it plans to return to the marketplace to find a replacement. The province does not know if that will further increase the final cost. Wayne Mantica, CTV News, Regina.
The family of a Saskatoon man who died after wandering away from his care home is looking for answers from the government. Ellie Mandrick has that story.
The granddaughter of 86-year-old Alzheimer's patient William Cohn says her grandfather wandered away from a Saskatoon care home on October 11th, unnoticed by staff. He walked for 8 blocks before falling and died 9 days later of complications from a broken hip.
I don't know that we've really even had time to grieve properly just because of how it happened. I think with all the shock and anger and everything else, I don't know that we've really had time to stop and properly grieve.
Now, Crone's family is calling for a full investigation and formal apology from the Saskatchewan Health Authority. Preston Special Care Home is a government-run facility, which Crone moved into only 36 hours before his injury. Smith says her grandfather had a history of wandering, which the facility was made aware of.
My grandma just couldn't do it on her own anymore. Us, the family members, we helped as much as we could, but it was just becoming too much. And so we put him in the care of the Saskatchewan Health Authority, thinking that that was the right move, and it blew our lives up.
Following session on Wednesday, MLA Lori Carr addressed the topic, saying the SHA will be conducting an investigation.
Well, I mean, the SHA is the one that's conducting the inquiry on it because it's been deemed a critical incident, and that's the process that takes place. But of course, from whatever comes out of that, if any corrective action needs to be made, absolutely has to be made because this is unacceptable.
In a statement, the SHA says it cannot comment on specific cases due to patient confidentiality legislation, but said, quote, "The review process will include obtaining family perspectives, a post-analysis disclosure to the family, which includes facts and actions taken or to be taken, and actions to be considered to improve care delivery moving forward."
All we want is, we just want more safeguards for our family members. We don't want this to keep happening. The more I talk about it, the more people reach out about their family members wandering out or passing away from, easily treatable things in care homes that should have been caught.
The Health Authority says it extends its deepest condolences to the family. And Smith says her family is hopeful that some changes might come from her grandfather's death, and they are considering filing a complaint with Saskatoon Police. Hallie Nandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Reaction continues in the wake of yesterday's dismissal of Regina's police chief. The complainant behind the investigation is now alleging her resignation from the board was done incorrectly. Donovan Mace has the latest.
A shadow remains over the Regina Police Service the day following the termination of its chief.
Going forward, we're looking forward. We're looking forward for the police service.
Now, former Chief Farouk Sheikh was dismissed by the Board of Police Commissioners Tuesday following a Public Complaints Commission investigation into misconduct, which was substantiated. A complaint made by a former police board member. Now, in a statement made through their lawyer, the complainant alleging a lack of due process in asking for the resignation from the board, which happened prior to the complaints which prompted the investigation. Mayor Bashinsky not commenting as to why the complainant was asked to resign.
I would just say that the process was followed in terms of how any resignation would go. So, we feel that it was appropriate the way the process played out.
According to the PCC investigation, the complainant and chief engaged in inappropriate private communications over the course of several months. Those communications kept from others on the board and the police service, with some occurring during a private session in which Sheikh was excused from. Now, the chief also asking the complainant to delete some of the texts they exchanged after the discovery of the messages became a risk.
This board takes these complaints very seriously.
Acting Chief Laura Lee Davies says there is a collective relief at the service now that the investigation has a resolution.
One person's actions don't reflect on the service as a whole, and so we just need to ensure that we're doing the hard work that is needed by the community.
As the RPS looks to rebuild trust with residents.
I hope that the public believes that we won't stand up for that type of behavior, and that when it is detected, that we'll make sure that the proper steps are taken to ensure public trust.
Now, while the hunt for Sheikh's replacement remains in its very early stages, Davies says she remains committed to the service and will wait to see how things unfold. Donovan Mace, CTV News, Regina.
The trial of a man accused of second-degree murder in the death of Misha Pavlik continued in Regina. Today, the court hearing testimony for more witnesses who were present the night Pavlik died. Kyle Edwards took the stand, telling the Crown he brought a knife to the graduation party happening on May 21st, 2006 at a campground near Last Mountain Lake, saying the knife never left his pocket that entire evening and was not used in a fight that allegedly happened between Pavlik and a man named Andrew Perkins. The court has heard from several witnesses in the trial so far, testifying they allegedly saw Pavlik hit Perkins with a bottle. Edwards also told the court he saw a friend of his, Dustin Scudder, exchange his knife with the accused when their group of friends arrived at the campground. However, the defense argued that Edwards' testimony could have been influenced by what Scudder told him, given the two were living together at the time of the incident. The court has made it halfway through the list of witnesses, with more than 20 people still set to testify. Kamsack RCMP have charged a teenage boy with assault after an incident the early morning hours Tuesday on Akisakous First Nation. Upon arrival, officers found a woman with serious injuries from an assault, taken to hospital by EMS. Police determined a male youth was behind the assault and arrested him. The teenager cannot be named under the Youth Criminal Justice Act, is facing 3 charges, including attempted murder and aggravated assault, and will make his first court appearance tomorrow in Yorkton Provincial Court. Now, Kamsack RCMP also alerting the public about dangerous street drugs in that area. They have responded to multiple overdoses, including 3 within an hour today. If you see anyone that is showing signs of an overdose, you are asked to call 911 or a local emergency number immediately. Well, the Regina Police Service is receiving almost $300,000 to renovate and update their shooting range. The government of Saskatchewan is redirecting the proceeds of crime through the Criminal Property Forfeiture Fund to the renovations. Now, this fund collects seized criminal properties such as vehicles or cash. This year, more than $1.6 million will be used in this manner to improve the safety of communities across the province. The Regina Police Service hopes to have the upgrades to their shooting range finished by next June.
You can see it's outdated. It has its limitations. The technology is old. As a matter of fact, there are a number of members in here, including Acting Chief Davies, that 30 years ago we learned how to shoot a gun in essentially this same room. So it's time for renovation.
An equal amount of money will also be provided to the Victims Fund, which is used to support victims of crime. We got a pinch hitter for us today when it comes to weather, Cole Davenport. We'll see if he can do like a couple of the Blue Jays have done when they've gone into pitch hit. What can we expect today?
Well, you can expect for temperatures to drop right off. It is actually going to be a fairly nice night to maybe stay inside and watch a little bit of baseball. I hear there's a big game tonight involving the Toronto Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers. Over the last hour or so, you may have had enough time to notice that it was raining and then notice that it was sunny again for just a little bit before that sunset that's getting earlier and earlier. You can see that band of precipitation making its way across the province between about 4 and 6 o'clock here. But both Regina and Saskatoon through the worst of that system, at least for the time being. Potential for some more flurries in the days ahead. Here's a look at current temperatures around the province. Looking at 8 in Moose Jaw, a lot of areas getting up into double-digit highs today. As for your almanac, high today in Regina, 12.3 degrees. That is way above average for this time of year, but we are going to have a bit of a correction on that tonight as temperatures really fall off a cliff. So we'll take a look closer at that in your full forecast, Lee.
All right, thank you, Cole. The CEO of Brandt Industries, Sean Semple, announced an ambitious undertaking today. The company is partnering with multiple visionary designers to put together Queen City Distillers. Jacob Carr has the details on what will be housed inside this multi-purpose venue.
What now stands as YQR Liquor will be transformed in a little over a year's time into Queen City Distillers, a brewery, liquor store, sports bar, restaurant, live music venue. Queen City Distillers will have it all.
Why can't we see the best musicians? Why can't we be that touring spot where they stop and play first and maybe become loyal to, and maybe we get them back once they hit the big time?
Semple says the finished product will cost north of $20 million. It will have 3 stages for music and other live entertainment, with the biggest being a nearly 1,500-seat capacity multi-level venue. Helping with the process will be world-renowned designer Jim Caffarelli, whose work includes multiple House of Blues venues and Under the Bridge, which is located underneath the Chelsea Football Club's stadium.
I was on a Zoom call the other day and someone referenced this as a mega project for Regina, and I interrupted and I said, let me tell you something. This is a mega project, no matter where you put it. You put this in Toronto, you put this in New York City, this is a big project.
Brandt is also partnering with Toronto-based company Design Agency, who says making the future space feel welcoming instead of corporate is key.
By studying what is the roots and the culture and the beauty of Regina that we can celebrate within each space, curating those spaces to make it part of the city.
Semple says the multi-purpose venue will create more than 150 jobs in the city. According to the team involved, the process of searching for workers has already begun.
We want locals. If you left this area because you thought you had to go to a bigger city, it's time to come home. This thing is going to be here for the long term. It's going to have the best technology to rival any venue in the world, and you're going to have a family team here that's going to continually invest in this staff and in this facility.
And according to Semple, the target date to have Queen City Distillers up and running is December of 2026. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Lieutenant Governor Bernadette McIntyre received the first poppy in Saskatchewan today. The first poppy presented by the Royal Canadian Legion Saskatchewan President Roberta Taylor. Following the ceremony, the Lieutenant Governor handed out poppies to members of the crowd. 100% of the funds, by the way, raised from these sales go directly to the Poppy Fund, which supports veterans and their families.
Some of the assistance would include making sure that the basic needs of our veterans are met on a continual basis. As we know, all veterans are covered through Veteran Affairs. However, there are certain things that the Veterans Affairs does not cover. And sometimes, too, the needs are more immediate.
Poppies will be available to the public starting October 31st at Legion branches and other various locations across the province. Connexus Credit Union and the Regina Street Culture Project have collaborated to run a cafe inside the bank's head office. As Damien Smith tells us, all the proceeds will help underprivileged youth in the community.
There's a new coffee shop in the Connexus Credit Union head office, but it's not just there for a quick grab and go. In a partnership between Connexus and the Street Culture Project, the Safe Cafe's revenue will be going to the not-for-profit.
We do recognize that our youth are entering to a very challenging economic environment. There's so much uncertainty that, what's a sure thing anymore? It's really hard to say.
For the Street Culture Project, they've been working on a shoestring budget with their shelter on 11th Avenue at full capacity for the past 3 years.
These growing indicators of need are alarming.
Staffed by a team of 115 people, the group served about 15,000 meals last year and transported 300 youth to medical-related appointments.
We want to decrease the need for sheltering services and increase our capacity to provide opportunities to youth like this so that we can provide education, training, and get them out in the community working and living and being independent.
The project mentors youth up to 20 years of age, with mental health and addictions being the biggest challenges leading to loneliness in today's youth.
And so that's one of the things that we're trying to address is being together, being relational, and building those peer groups so that there's a network of support for the youth. But struggling with mental health and addictions and a general sense of kind of loneliness is what we describe it as.
The cafe will also be a gathering spot for programs to run after the Safe closes on weekdays at 4 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Saturdays. The Street Culture Project also said that 100% of the proceeds will go towards essential programs for undeserved youth. Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
Still ahead, the Bank of Canada drops the trend-setting lending rate for the 4th time this year. And Hurricane Melissa has turned a dream vacation spot into a nightmare. U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war with Canada and our weak economy led to another cut of the trend-setting lending rate by the Bank of Canada. It now sits at 2.25%. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver digs deeper into the bank's widely expected decision.
The Bank of Canada delivering a bleak outlook today, slashing growth projections as tariffs drive up costs for businesses and fuel uncertainty.
Part of it is structural. The U.S. has swerved to protectionism. It's harder to do business with the United States. That has destroyed some of the capacity in this country.
The bank is projecting Canada will narrowly avoid a recession with growth just 0.75%.
It is, then we can have a little more confidence in these kind of projections. Of course, the president can wake up on the wrong side of the bed and suddenly Canada's in a recession.
Macklem acknowledges that there's not much more the bank can do to put Canada's economy back on a better growth trajectory. That's why experts say the funding and policies in next week's budget will be scrutinized even closer. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
The federal government has provided another preview of next Tuesday's budget. We learned today it will include more than $432 million to advance equality for women and for the LGBTQ2S+ community.
This serious long-term commitment will ensure constant progress towards equality and safety for women, for girls, and for 2S LGBTQI+ people. And I think for that, we should all be proud today. This is a moment in our nation's history.
$382.5 million will go towards improving women's economic security and participation in leadership roles. The funding will be provided over 5 years beginning in 2026. There will also be more than $50 million over 5 years to support LGBTQ2S+ communities, including for security during Pride events. Alberta unions are pushing back after Daniel Smith's government forced teachers to return to work during the recent work stoppage. Now they're threatening a general strike.
We will use all of the tools at our disposal to make Daniel Smith and the UCP pay a price for attacking teachers, public education, and our democratic rights.
Okay, I know a lot of it.
Enough to do for both students and teachers at Alberta schools as more than 740,000 students returned to class today after weeks away during the province-wide teachers' strike.
It's my diploma year. I feel like I'm in a pretty stacked semester with physics, chemistry, and math, and I feel like over the strike I was definitely stressed out of it because I know when I come back, material will probably be rushed. I know that the diploma is definitely going to be tougher than maybe some previous years just because I'm missing 3 weeks. I'm missing almost a month. That could be a whole unit. That could be maybe a whole section on the diploma that I might not have.
School boards have told parents there may be delays to everything from exams to extracurricular activities. Alberta's premier says this strike has caused irreparable harm and that the government has no choice but to order the teachers back to work. The Alberta Teachers Association has called the province's use of the notwithstanding clause a gross violation of rights. Well, Hurricane Melissa has left dozens dead and widespread destruction across Cuba, Jamaica, and other parts of the Caribbean. And the storm, despite being downgraded, is still posing a threat. Scott Hurst has the latest.
Urgent search and rescue operations are well underway as the full scope of the disaster is only just now starting to reveal itself. However, initial assessments are pointing to catastrophic damage across many regions on the island nation.
Jamaica has gone through what I can call one of its worst periods.
Hundreds of thousands have been left without power. Homes, schools, and hospitals all bearing the brunt of the storm. A Category 5 hurricane when it came ashore with winds nearing 300 kilometers per hour, one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes on record. The Prime Minister has declared the whole island a disaster zone, even though, relatively speaking, the capital city of Kingston was spared the worst of the damage. Crews are working tirelessly to also reopen airports, potentially some as early as tomorrow. Of course, on an island nation, they are a critical lifeline for not just getting people in and out, but also emergency supplies desperately needed in the wake of the devastating hurricane.
We have teams out on the ground as we speak. They're trying to get to western parts of the country where we expect to see the most severe devastation. But I think just from the images that are coming in, we see homes that have been submerged, infrastructure completely destroyed, entire communities that are really struggling just to survive at the moment. And we really want to urgently get assistance to them so that they can get back on their feet as soon as possible.
The storm initially hit Cuba as a major Category 3 hurricane. Hundreds of thousands of people had been evacuated to shelters ahead of its arrival, where eastern Cuba, including the nation's second largest city, Santiago, felt the full force of the storm. Despite being downgraded, it is likely to remain a dangerous hurricane as it now impacts parts of Turks and Caicos and Bahamas. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up, how confident are you in the Riders heading into the playoffs? And who will win the divisional semifinals? Wes Cates has his take on X's and O's.
Well, safety is paramount this Halloween. Thursday on Your Morning, we were on location with CAA to remind you, the driver, and you, the trick-or-treater, ways you can stay safe.
Well, temperatures took a bit of a drop tonight, and we're seeing that continue this evening as the sunlight starts to get, that sunset starts happening earlier and earlier in the evening. Right now in Regina, sitting at 6 degrees, winds out of the south-southeast at 17 kilometers per hour. That's down from our high of 12.3 today. So already quite a bit of a cool off, and that's only in the last few hours. Here's a look at the radar and satellite picture. As you can see, a large band of precipitation making its way through Regina, Saskatoon, and elsewhere. Also a little bit of flurries up in this corner of the province, and that is going to swirl down a little later on as we take a look at your weather tracker over the next few days. So once that rainfall leaves us, we're going to see that snowfall come down south a little bit. Looking at Regina, Wynyard, Yorkton areas, all going to be getting this for at least some period of time over the next 12 hours or so. Then into Thursday night, it continues to hang around around in southeastern Saskatchewan, as well as more scattered flurries in the Regina area, but it's largely going to be centered around Yorkton, Estevan, those sort of regions for at least Thursday night. Into Friday morning, it's going to hang around for a little bit longer, but by the time we get into Halloween and particularly into some prime trick-or-treating territory and a little bit past, all the province looking fairly dry, in most places clear, except for along that southeastern corner where we're going to be seeing a bit of a wall of cloud hanging around after that snowfall moves through. And then by Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud for the majority of the province. Here's a look at your forecast for tonight and tomorrow in La Loche, La Ronge, Lloydminster, and Prince Albert. Most areas looking to stay a bit above freezing for La Ronge, Prince Albert just below. Same for La Loche and Lloydminster. Highs of 3 and 2 across the board. In North Battleford, looking at a high of 3. Same goes for Yorkton tomorrow with mixed precipitation. Saskatoon up to 4 with just cloud cover, but we'll see some of that snowfall and rainfall mix tonight with a low of 0. In Maple Creek, high of 7 with a low of 3. 4 in Swift Current with for tomorrow with a low of 1 tonight. And then 1 in Moose Jaw with a high of 4 tomorrow as well. A bit more sunshine in those regions. As for Weyburn, Estevan, and Assiniboia, all looking at lows of 1 tonight. A bit more precipitation for Weyburn and Estevan with highs of 3 for tomorrow, and then Assiniboia a little bit warmer with a high of 4, a mix of sun and cloud expected. In Regina tonight, down to a low of 1, winds out of the west between 10 and 15 kilometers per hour. Tomorrow, high of 3, winds out of the south between 40 and 55 kilometers per hour, and that is definitely not unique to Regina. Those wind speeds are going to be picking up pretty much across the province. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll start off on Thursday for tomorrow. Again, high of 3, low of -1. On Friday, getting up to about 4 with a low of -2. You can see that the wind continues to be a factor out of the northwest between about 50 and 55 kilometers per hour. We forgot to move our little pumpkin friend, but that is okay. So here's so this is your Halloween forecast here with a high of 4, low of -2. On Saturday, a high of 8 and a low of +1. So that might be a little bit better for trick-or-treating, but unfortunately, we've been pranked by Peter Pumpkin. Looking at a Sunday, high of 10 with a low of -4, so staying above seasonal there. That trend does continue for at least Monday before we get back into those single-digit highs for next week, particularly on Tuesday and Wednesday with lows of 0. So with it being Halloween coming up very shortly this week, this 4 and -2, that's probably the window where you'll want to look at adding a layer, maybe 2 to your costume, depending on exactly how much trick-or-treating you might be planning on doing. But, you know, use your best judgment.
To another edition of X's and O's with Wes Cates. And Wes, we now get ready for the playoffs. We know the Riders will be in the Western Final. They will host them at Mosaic Stadium. So they have to wait to see who they're going to play. But coming off that final regular season game against BC, I just want to get your thoughts on how you think the Riders are going into playoffs. If I had any concerns, they would be the short game concerns me a little bit. I really think they miss Tommy Stevens. What are they going to do with the kicking game? Do you put in Michael Hughes and have a ratio issue? Or do you go back to Brett Lothar? But other than that, I was happy what I saw with Trevor Harris in the offense with receivers that are essentially lower on the depth chart.
Yeah, I think, well, I guess the one biggest question would be the kicking situation with Michael Hughes kicking so well. But I think because Brett Lothar's Canadian, I feel like that'll be the deciding factor, really just leaning that way just to help with the ratio. I think that offensively, the Riders have looked fairly good. I mean, you look at the stats, sometimes they struggle at times, but really when it comes out in a full game, usually they put up some quality numbers. I think Trevor obviously will be ready to go, and I think that just the culture that they have in the locker room has shown up to me anyway, because I feel like the way they played with backups the last couple of weeks is they've overperformed in that sense. I feel like, you know, they brought in the starters obviously this past week, and they look good off the hop, really dominant. But then the second and third string guys came in and played well. So I think that is what I'm leaning on for that positive energy that the Riders have shown going into the playoffs. I think obviously taking a little bit of a break is always a little scary situation in the playoffs. But I think that the Riders will be well because I think the culture and the way they're talking and the way the vets are leading, and obviously Corey Mason, his coaching staff, have really drilled it in that it's about the effort and just being locked in into your assignments and just giving full effort, and things will work out.
Of course, injuries on the receiving core, secondary had a chance to rest. Hopefully, those guys can be back for the Western Final. Let's talk about those two semifinals. BC versus Calgary. It's in BC. BC won both their meetings versus Calgary. Can they win? It's always tough to win 3 times in a row. Can they do it against Calgary?
I know it's tough, but I feel like, I just feel like BC's going to find a way to pull it out. I'm a little worried. Like, Calgary's defense has been playing great all season. They've had a couple of slip-ups here and there, but I feel like BC has looked like the most dominant team in the league for the last few weeks. I know they had a couple of weird turnovers, but you take away that fumble by Hatcher, and really BC probably has, runs away with that game a little more. So I think that they're going to be all right in the Western semi, for sure.
You got BC then?
Yeah, BC.
Okay, I'll probably go with BC as well. Then we got the East semifinal, even though there's a Western team in it. Bombers against Montreal. The Bombers won both their games against the Alouettes this season. Will Jefferson, Collaros be enough this time around?
I don't know. I'm kind of leaning Montreal. It's always safe to take the home team. Like, Winnipeg is kind of that team that's always found a way to be there, so you can't count them out. I think, it'll be tough. Montreal's D and the struggles that Zach Collaros has had at times. He hasn't looked as comfortable. Offensive line for Winnipeg hasn't held up as well. He's been getting beat up this season, and I think that Montreal is going to find some ways to get home, and maybe if they can get ahead on the scoreboard, then they can kind of just turn up the pressure and be able to take that away. But if Winnipeg gets off to a good start, they'll be trouble. But I'm taking Montreal.
Get to Montreal. I'm going to go with Winnipeg in this one. I just think to be honest, this playoff, it can go with any one of these 6 teams, it feels like. This is going to be a pretty good playoff season. And, of course, whoever wins this week will go on to face the Riders and Hamilton in the division final to find out who goes to the Grey Cup in Winnipeg. We'll analyze what the Riders will face next week on another edition of X's and O's.
X's and O's, brought to you by Campion College at the University of Regina.
As the Riders prepare for the Western Final on November the 8th, 10 players were honored as All-Stars. Details after the break.
Wardrobe consideration in part by Colin O'Brien Men's Shop.
While the Riders wait to see who they will host in the Western Final, 10 players were honored for their performance this season as CFL West Divisional All-Stars.
Pizzoli with some time, far side, intercepted! Oh my goodness, on the far side of the field, it's taken away! All the way back down, it's Campbell! He'll take it to the 20, what a swing! To the end zone, touchdown, Riders!
China's own cornerback, Devon Campbell, gets the nod after a league-high 6 interceptions, 2 of them going for touchdowns. 4 other defenders were named, fellow defensive back Roland Milligan Jr., linebackers Jameer Thurman and C.J. Rivas, along with D-tackle Micah Johnson. On offense, 5 more All-Stars, 3 linemen in Logan Furland, Jacob Brammer, and Jermarcus Hardrick, and 2 receivers, Dante Myers alongside Keyshawn Johnson. Overall, Montreal and Hamilton had the most with 11 divisional All-Stars. The Riders had the most in the West with 10. Regina Pats look to build on a strong back half to October as they host the Brandon Wheat Kings tonight at the Brandt Center.
He'll swipe it up top. Caden Brown to the Brandon slot. McNutt scores!
The Pats have won 3 of their last 4, including a 6-4 victory over the Wheaties a week and a half ago with Ephraim McNutt. Power play goals in the win for Regina, 2 of them. Pats are tied with Brandon for 8th in the conference. Game time is 7 o'clock. World Series truly is a fall classic this year. Despite a heartbreaker in Game 3, the Toronto Blue Jays showed off their resilience to beat Shohei Ohtani and Dodgers 6-2 last night to tie the best-of-7 series at 2. And so far in Game 5, Jays are up 2-0 in the bottom of the second. Now, it's not just Jays fans that are entertained. As Adrian Gobriel tells us, this championship is shaping up to be one of the most widely watched World Series in years.
Ohtani. With the season's opening pitch thrown in Tokyo, Major League Baseball tipped its cap to the truly global reach of the game.
Let's go, Blue Jays!
I'm from Australia, but I was born in Singapore, grew up in England, all over the place.
And you're a Blue Jays fan?
A huge Blue Jays fan.
Here in LA's Little Tokyo, you don't have to look too hard to see who's been crowned king in this city of angels.
24 hours, Japanese TV is broadcasting about Dodgers and especially Shohei.
Game 1 of the 2025 World Series hauled in an average of 32.6 million viewers combined in Canada, the United States, and Japan.
It's very fitting that, these two teams in particular are playing in the World Series. This is the collection of the best players in the world right now.
Even the series itself, with two Canadians who hold Canadian passports, at least, and Freddie Freeman and Vlad Guerrero Jr. You look at Alejandro Kirk, who becomes the first Mexican-born player ever to hit a home run in a World Series. The fan base specifically shows just how global this game is.
The house is full of Americans, Canadians, Mexicans, Japanese fans cheering on their fan favorite Ohtani. Let baseball be the light, perhaps, that can guide our leaders to a better place here, and let them guide the Jays to a World Series victory.
With the regular season starting in Japan and the postseason soon to be ending in Canada, this marks the first time in league history that an opener and final games of the season have been played outside of the United States. Following Game 5 here in LA tonight, the World Series is headed back north of the border. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Los Angeles.
Coming up, checking out a Halloween haunted house in Saskatoon.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Time now for a look at your rural forecast. We'll take a look at temperatures for around the province tomorrow. And largely the story is, even after double-digit highs for much of Saskatchewan today, that's going to be very different tomorrow. We'll hop out of the way so you can take a good look at how things are in northern Saskatchewan, looking at Melfort, Hudson Bay, possibly some mixed precipitation for them, leaning more towards snowfall. Wynyard, a bit lighter snow with a high of 2 tomorrow, then 4 for Kindersley, Outlook, and Watrous. As for southern Saskatchewan, 3 in Lumsden, Pilot Butte, and Kenora. Broadview to 2, same with Carlisle with a bit lighter snowfall. In Assiniboia, up to 3 degrees tomorrow, 4 in Coronach, 5 in East End Cypress, and 7 for Maple Creek, looking to be likely the hot spot for Saskatchewan tomorrow. Now let's take a look at Paradise Hill, where internet speeds of up to 1 gigabyte are available through SaskTel. Tomorrow looking at mostly cloudy skies with a high of 3 and winds out of the northwest between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour. That is going to remain a story across much of the province for the next 24 hours or so, is that wind is really going to be picking up as temperatures move from these double-digit highs down into single-digit highs for the next couple of days. They should rebound by the weekend.
Some Saskatoon residents are putting their love for Halloween on full display and are opening their doors to the community. Stacey Hine gives us a tour.
Better be careful walking around at this place. A warning to be careful walking around 510 Glacial Shores Bay in Evergreen. Here, Halloween takes over, and everyone's invited. Kristen McDonald grew up with haunted houses. Her father built one every year. Now she's carrying on the tradition with her husband.
He and I met, and he wasn't really into Halloween, and then he slowly kind of got more into it, and we bought one animatronic, and after that, we were just kind of hooked.
What started with a single jumping spider in 2018 has grown into a monster operation.
The McDonald's say it takes countless hours to set this up, with 37 animatronics and hundreds of decorations.
Last year, more than 2,500 people came through, and this year, an even bigger crowd is expected.
We do it basically just because the community loves it. Like, we did it the first year, and people came, and they loved it so much.
We love seeing all the reactions of everybody come through, and seeing the smiles and the screams is what makes it worth it for us.
And if you're looking for more local haunts, there are other spooky spots around the city ready to give you goosebumps. Hold on to me. In Silverwood Heights, check out 111 Marcotte Crescent. And in Park Ridge, 186 Neatby Crescent, where Aaron Savolt has transformed his yard into a 2,200 square foot maze of mayhem.
It's always fun to see the reactions, hear the reactions, plus ticket fees, whatever, are going to Spirit Halloween and their fundraiser for the Children's Hospital, so good causes.
No matter where you go, these Halloween haunts might leave your head spinning, and they're open until Halloween night. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, they caught me waking up. Stock markets. TSX down 274 points. Dow Jones down slightly, 74 points. As for the Canadian dollar, yeah, it dropped as well, 0.06% to 71.69 cents U.S. On the commodity front, gold, it was down $22.06. West Texas Intermediate crude, one of the green arrows, at 33 cents up. But Western Canadian Select crude, it went down $1.04 today. So, gas in Regina, right now it's staying the same. We'll see if it stays that way. It's at $1.30.9 per liter.
Only 4 months ago, NVIDIA became the first company to be valued at $4 trillion U.S. Today, it blew past that. NVIDIA shares climbed to a high of $207 U.S. today. The company CEO, Jensen Huang, announced this week a plan to build 7 supercomputers for the American government. NVIDIA is a leader in the production of computer chips that power artificial intelligence. Its exponential growth comes despite U.S. export limits on what it can sell to China. 2 other Magnificent Seven companies reported results today. Meta shared it had to pay a one-time tax bill of almost $16 billion U.S. and that took a big bite out of its third quarter net income. Alphabet, parent company of Google, also reported earnings. For the first time ever, it reported $100 billion U.S. in revenue for a quarter. That sent shares up in after-hours trading. Caterpillar is also benefiting from AI. The equipment maker reported earnings beating revenue and profit estimates. Demand for its power generation systems and mining equipment were up. But the American company also outlined the cost of tariffs, citing at least a $1.6 billion hit. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Coming up tonight after the newscast, shifting gear, followed by 2 episodes of Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, followed by The Amazing Race, The Big Bang Theory, E-Talk, and then we'll have national news and local news with Connor Chan at 11:30. All right, many Halloween events are taking place around Regina, around the province. That included the RCMP Heritage Center last night.
Guests enjoyed a variety of spooky activities, including a monster mash scavenger hunt, paper pumpkin decorating, and a witch hat toss. Organizers say the event was a fun way for families to experience the Heritage Center while learning more about Canada's history. The center is hosting several other Halloween-themed activities throughout the week as well.
And Halloween spirit took over Wascana Center yesterday as families came out for their annual spooktacular event. This year's theme was Predator or Prey. I don't see the predator there. Guests got to be hands-on with live animals from prairie aquatics and exotics, explored an exciting and different science experiments, and even took part in animal dissections, just like high school. Or was that elementary school? That happened. The event was a unique way to celebrate the season while learning and having some fun. So yes, Halloween is ramping up all across the province.
It sure is.
And this is my last show actually before Halloween. I'm taking the next couple days off. So are you dressing up for Halloween?
I'm dressing up as you, like I do every year.
Because I take Halloween off?
Pretty much.
Yes.
I make the same joke every year too.
Yeah, I'm gonna be dressing up too. Maybe you'll be Pennywise. Just don't tell Sabine. Or maybe do.